Hello, welcome to Monday Night Convos with Carrie. Hope you're doing well. Those of you who are live and those of you watching the replay, welcome. Really excited to chat with you again. Missed it last week with my head cold when I couldn't get on here because any amount of talking made me cough. As you can tell by my voice, I'm still recovering from the head cold from hell that doesn't want to go away. Hey, Lee Marie, welcome. I love that you're here. Welcome, welcome. Just doing a little housekeeping at the top here. So my voice is still coming back from a head cold, so coughing a bit. Hey, Sarah, welcome. So, the head cold's been there too, Lee Marie. It's awful. It just lasts forever, and the cough is brutal. It's just brutal. But it's definitely better now. I'm probably 10 days into it, so I would hope that it's better. If you hear cats in the background, that's one of my cats, Kaya, who for some reason likes to talk when I talk. So, Vinny has a croup. And the worst you used to get croup all the time when you were little, right, Lee Marie? I think you did. But yeah. I don't know if you can hear my cat, but Kaya likes to talk. So, all right. So we are going to talk tonight about getting unstuck. Thanks, Lee Marie. I am glad too. It was a long, hard road, but definitely feeling better. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Kai Kai. That's my cat, who you absolutely must be able to hear now because she's right at my feet. Did you hear her? Can you hear that? Tell me if you can hear Kaya. Oh, she's silly. Want to go up and say hi, Kaya? Come say hi. Come here. Let me see if I can get her to say hi. Kai Kai. Come say hi. Come here, you. You can't meow and then not make an appearance. Oh, okay. This is Kai, who's now sitting on my microphone, so you probably can't hear me, but this is Kaya. Say hi, Kaya. Yeah. She likes to talk when I do video. Oh, she gets a little jealous when I do video, so you might hear her every now and then. That's Kai Kai. So we're going to talk about getting unstuck tonight. So a couple housekeeping things. Yeah, hi, Goo-Goos. That's right, we do call her Goo-Goos. Oh, she just turned around when I said that. Hey, Googs. She keeps turning around. Anyway, all right, so I want to go over just a few housekeeping things before we dive into the topic tonight, and I want to hear from you all about getting unstuck. Hey, Marianne. Thanks. Yeah, she is pretty darn cute. That kitty of mine. That's one of them. Her sister is, sleeping, which is good because she doesn't get jealous when I get on video. So a couple housekeeping things. Again, pardon my voice, still recovering. I'll have to pause probably more frequently than often than I usually do to take sips of water. I have cough drops handy, water, tissues. I got it all. Hey, Linz. Hi. So I really want to encourage you to share this broadcast with your friends. So you'll see where you're watching it online that there's a share option. Would love it if you would share that with your friends and we can get some more people in on the conversation. Really appreciate it. Everyone has felt stuck at some point in their lives. So I'm sure people could benefit from this. So please go ahead and share that. That would be awesome. And when you're looking at the video right now, you'll see that there's a subscribe button. So you can hit subscribe, and that way you'll get notified any time that I go live in the future. In case you don't get notification ahead of time, if you hit subscribe to the video, you will get notifications. So while I'm just talking about some general things about getting unstuck, I would love it if you would comment below and tell me where in your life you feel stuck. Like what aspect, or it can be with something very specific. It can just be something general like career or relationship or health or whatever it is. So while I'm talking about some stuff here, you can go ahead and comment below about where you're feeling stuck. Thanks, Melissa, for sharing my video. See, follow Melissa. She just shared it. Go ahead and share it. Appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. Would love to get lots of people chatting. So first I'm going to talk about when we feel stuck, what might be going on. And this kind of pertains to no matter where you feel stuck, whether it's career, relationship, health, whatever. Thanks, Sarah, for sharing. Oh, thank you. I didn't even see that, but I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. So when you think about getting stuck, so Gail is stuck with getting rid of stuff. I try and then go into the throwaway pile 2 days later. Okay, yeah, that's a good one, Gail. We'll definitely talk about that. Okay, yeah, so you try to get rid of stuff and you struggle there. Good. Not good that you struggle, but that's a good topic to talk about. So thanks for sharing, Gail. Anyone else where you feel stuck in life, where you feel like you kind of make some progress and then you fall back? Thank you, everybody, for sharing. Really appreciate it. Think about where you make some progress in your life and then you fall back and it's like, man, I just can't see. It's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. So think about where you feel stuck and have that in your mind as I talk about some general things, and then I'll talk about some specific stuff based on your comments. So when you think about making progress in any area of your life, the number one thing I have found with my clients over the years is that the next step or the first step that they've identified is just way too big. And they feel like, see, I don't have what it takes, or, I'm never going to make any progress. And they start beating themselves up for not making the moves that they wish that they could make. Hey, Shannon, welcome. So I find more often than not, it's just that the next step is too big. So it's not that you're lazy or that you suck or that all that crap we tell ourselves, right? Think about what it is you're trying to do and just break it down more. So instead of whatever the next step is that you're just not making any progress on, what would be one small step toward that step that you've been trying to do? So for Gail, when she shared about getting rid of stuff, but then goes into the throwaway pile 2 days later, I would consider, Gail, once you've identified things you want to get rid of, get them out of your house ASAP. That could mean that you throw them in the trunk of your car if there's something that's going to be donated. Because if any of you have heard me talk about clutter and getting rid of stuff, the last place I want you to default to is a dumpster. So donate, sell, recycle. So once you've identified the things you want to get rid of, have your very next step be, okay, let me get this out of the house ASAP, even if it's just one item. So you'll lower your chances of getting back into it, That can be super helpful. Hey, Kristen, welcome. So Sarah feels stuck getting back into her blog. She needs to start from the beginning. Yeah, and you know what's great, Sarah, is that you never have to start at the beginning, right? Because you've already made some progress. So even if the blog has not been started, like literally started, you know more now than you did back when you considered starting it before. So you can never go back to where you were. It's like that expression, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. It's like once you've learned some, you can't go back. So you have made progress, Sarah, even if it feels like you haven't. So really think about what is the next step that you need to take to make progress on whatever it is you feel stuck on. And is that step small enough? Is it doable? Is it realistic? So often when we're someplace and we want to get someplace else, or we want to finish something, accomplish something, we try to jump from where we are to the finish line. And because we think that good feeling of success can only come when we're done, it's not true. Here's what's really cool. That great feeling comes by getting started. Like, how cool is that? Like, you can just take some action and you will feel like $1,000,000. So your stress and anxiety around not making any progress comes from not taking any action, not completing it. I'm going to say that again. So the stress that you feel or the frustration that you feel comes from not taking any action at all. Because the steps that you've identified are just way too big. So break it down into much smaller, more manageable steps. So I like to tell my clients, think about a project versus a task. Like an example I'll use, because I'm just starting to revamp my website. Revamping my website, that's a project. That is not a task. That is a big project. So I actually break that down into many sub-projects, if you will, and then tasks within that. Tasks are the things that you can do in a short amount of time, like 15 minutes or less. So for instance, for my website, If I want to rewrite my about page, let's say, even that's a project. So I would break that down and go, okay, I'm going to do two 20-minute rounds on drafting up my about page. That's a task. Or one round instead of write my about page. So really think about what's a project, what's a task. Leah Marie says, definitely feel stuck on my health and eating. One day I feel like I do good. The next day all I eat is junk. I hear you there, sister. Totally get that. That's a big one, right? Health stuff feels like it's always one step forward, two steps back. So I want you to keep that in mind, Leah Marie, when I talk about a little something a little bit later, which I think could be interesting. And Gail, I want you to keep that in mind too. And Sarah, any of you who feel stuck anywhere, I want you to keep the area that you feel stuck in mind as I talk about this next concept. And then we can go into the specifics in the comments. So I want you to think about, could there be any benefit to staying stuck? Is there any payout that you're getting by not taking the action you say you want to take? I'm going to let that sink in for a second, because it's kind of a lot to chew on there. But here's my theory. Like I talk about clutter as anything that's getting in your way of living the life that you love. And if you really wanted to make some moves, accomplish some goals, you would be able to. You would find ways to break it down. If you break it down and you're still not doing it, there could be a payout to you staying stuck. And it's like, what the heck would that be? Why would I ever want to stay stuck? It can be all sorts of things. And so I'll use a clutter example, since Gail, you mentioned that at the top of our talk here. So I deal with clutter with clients all the time and have for years. And there's almost always a payout to keeping your clutter. So think about, what is it about my clutter that serves me well, or that I dread getting rid of it? I had one client years ago who just had filing cabinets full of articles and blog posts that she printed off, or magazine clippings that she filed away. And through our coaching together, we learned that she didn't feel confident in her intelligence, right? She felt kind of like the dumb one in the family. And by keeping all of those articles and blog posts and clippings, she felt like she had quick access to information and knowledge. So through more conversations, we realized, oh, she thinks that those filing cabinets contain her wisdom and her intelligence. So really, the reason why she couldn't get rid of those papers, even if they were 15 or 20 years old, was more because she had cluttered thinking. She had a belief that told her, if you get rid of those things, then you really will be dumb. So you better not get rid of that stuff. So we worked on flipping that belief to a more empowering belief of, she knows everything she needs to know to do everything she wants to do, or she's super resourceful and can find information at the drop of a hat as needed. And as we worked on strengthening her belief, she was able to get rid of that paperwork easily. She got rid of filing cabinets, and she felt amazing. So really think about, what is the clutter that you're struggling to get rid of, or what is the aspect of your life that you feel stuck in, and how is it serving you? Excuse me. Here's the cough. Talking still triggers the cough, so thank you for your patience. Excuse me. So really think about, where you're stuck. How does that serve you? I'm going to try a cough drop too, because now I feel all tickly. I got to get a good cough in. Sorry if that killed anyone. If I knew how to quickly mute, I would. Anyway, now I got a big cough drop in my mouth. This is going to be attractive. We're live, people. We're live. So Gail's fear is that I will need what I get rid of someday. That's a really common one, Gail. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, a lot of people say that, what if I need this someday? So a powerful way to handle that is to answer the question, right? So imagine that you had this item that you felt ready to get rid of, but that question came up. Well, what if I need this someday? Answer the question. Okay, what if I did get rid of this item and then I found someday I needed it? What would I do? So it depends on what the item is, right? So it might mean that you need to borrow someone else's, or you might need to buy it again, or you might need to look it up online if it's like an article. So answer that question, because that thinking, that voice that comes up says, you might need this again someday. I have found that that is just that part of you who fears any kind of change. So there's this part of us that hates change. I mean, who really likes change? But there's a part of us that even if we know the change is for good, she hates change because any change is bad. She likes what's familiar, and what's familiar to her is keeping that clutter around. So when you think about that, like, oh, okay, so she's just afraid or hesitant to get rid of these things, you can address it in that way. Like you can say, okay, so if that part of me is resistant to change, hey Pam, welcome, welcome. If that part of me is resistant to change and doesn't want me to do anything differently, how can I help her to feel safe? Oh, look, I joined. Hi, Carrie. I'm doing this so I can see your comments on my laptop. So, Gail, part 2, but then I won't be able to find. I know I have it, but where is it? But then I won't be able to find. Okay, so if you keep it, then you won't be able to find it, Gail? Is that what you're saying? That you know you have... Oh, so if you get rid of it, the fear is that you'll need it again, or that you'll think that you still have it, and you'll search for it? Just clarify that for me. Let me make sure I'm getting it right. The clutter I save for later. Okay, so yeah, so if you... Here's the kind of quick thing with clutter. If you don't love, need, or use it, it's clutter. So you can get rid of just about anything that you don't love, need, or use. So I find that that's more than you would even think. We have so much more that we hang on to that we really don't even need. So think about, as you're getting rid of stuff, Gail, and you're like, well, what if I need this someday? Answer the question. Or, what if I save this stuff, but then I can't find it? If you have stuff tucked away, and that's been tucked away for a long time, you're doing just fine without it. So that can be another litmus test of, do I need to keep this? I haven't looked at it in quite some time. So Sarah, you say here that your thoughts can be your clutter. Definitely. Hey, Barbara. Good to see you here. Thoughts can be clutter for sure. That's mental clutter, right? Quick way to handle that, Sarah? Do a mind dump. So I just take out a pen and paper and I dump everything that's on my brain onto that paper. Because your brain is a computer, it's not a container. We often use it as a container, and just like any other hard drive, if you load it up with too many files, it's going to slow down. So dump it out onto the page. That's going to give you some clarity for sure. Okay. So Leah Marie, same thing for you when you mentioned stuck on your health and eating. What is it? Hey, Amy, welcome. Is there anything that is... What payout are you getting from not eating the way you say you want to be eating, right? Like for me, I've definitely identified that food is the way that I numb emotions, that I reward myself, that I pacify myself when I'm feeling unhappy. So if and when I try to focus on eating better, that means I'm going to have to face some uncomfortable emotions because I'm not using my default tool to stuff those emotions down. So how are you using food? To what benefit are you using food? Okay, yeah, you said yes, exactly. I eat my feelings big time. Yeah. So if you practice feeling those feelings just even one time out of 10, you'll be able to see that what you fear about feeling those feelings is not true. What I have found is when I allow myself to feel shitty feelings that we don't want to feel, fear, sadness, anger, I find that when I let them in, they go away much more quickly than when I try to fight them. It's kind of like trying to hold a balloon underwater, right? It's going to pop up. Especially right now. I mean, with the political climate, with the world climate right now, it's a really tough time for a lot of people, no matter what your views are. So for me, someone who's very sensitive energetically, I can feel depleted fast by the energy in the world. And I can use sugar or carbs or food to numb those feelings so I feel like I can even function. I also use food to ground my energy. So I try to find healthier ways to ground my energy that's not food. So Liam Marie says, stress is my biggest trigger, but then maybe that's my clutter too. Yeah, so I would look at your stress and see how can you simplify. I mean, I know it's difficult. You've got a young child, but how can you simplify a little bit more, and what tools do you have that can help you with your stress that maybe you're not currently using? I'll recommend this to everyone. A lot of you have probably heard me talk about Headspace. Just like it sounds, Headspace, it's an app, a free app for your phone. You'll get 10 days of 10-minute meditations, and it's their guided meditations, but it's just this guy's voice. He's got a British accent, which appeals to me. There's no like airy-fairy music in the background if that's not your thing. It's just his voice, 10 minutes. Not only is it great guided meditation, but the way he gets you to think about stressful thoughts is super helpful as well. So no matter where you feel stuck in life, Headspace app will totally help. So I think you just go to headspace.com or just go on the app, on your app store, Android or iPhone, and check out Headspace. You love that. And actually, in my newsletter that went out today, in the bottom section of the 5 things that I'm loving this week, I included a 30-day mindfulness calendar that the creator of Headspace made. And it's a great little things you can do each day of the month to help yourself be more mindful. And that really helps stress, Leah Marie, when you can be more intentional and mindful in your day-to-day. The more mindful you are, the less stuck you're going to feel. I'm just checking the comments here to make sure I'm not missing anyone. So, Mary Ellen, is there a difference between feeling stuck and feeling like you're waiting and waiting for the next thing you are to do in life? That's a good question, Mary Ellen. Here's the distinction that I use. When I am feeling like I want some movement to happen in my life, I think about what is it that I can do to get things rolling. And if I feel like I've done everything I possibly can, just almost never happens, right? But there's always something you can do. But if it's a very specific situation, like let's say, for instance, you applied for a job and you went for the interview and you think you knocked it out of the park, and the next step is to just wait to hear from them. You've already sent your thank you note out for the interview. You've done all the steps you can do to manifest the outcome that you hope for. So if you've done everything you can, then your only other step is to surrender and go, okay, now I just wait and see if that's going to pan out for me. I've given it my best shot. So if it's something specific like that, there is a time that you will come to that it's like, I've done all that I can, now it's time to release. So if you're waiting and waiting for the next thing you are to do in life, if you don't know what your next chapter is going to be, that's not something you necessarily want to wait for, because that's something you need to at least get things moving so it can find its way to you. So, if you were, like, let's say that you were just wrapping up one chapter of your life and you're entering another one and you're not really sure what to do in that next chapter, I would think about like just brainstorming with no filter and no editing, pen to paper. What do you like to do? What would be really cool for this next chapter to be like, feel like, look like? Almost write like a vision story for that next chapter. What do you want it, like what does it look like, smell like, feel like? How do you feel every day when you wake up? What are you doing? Are you interacting with people? Are you solo? Are you, staying close to your community? Are you traveling? Do you want to work for yourself? Do you want to find a job? Like, really start to brainstorm what you want to do in that next chapter of your life, so you can at least start there. right? So you can, because if you're just sitting and waiting to see what the next chapter brings, by not giving it any clues or hints, it makes it really hard for it to find you. So that's where I would start, Mary Ellen, is to just do some brainstorming about what is it you want to do next. So again, that when we talk about getting unstuck, it's finding what is my very next small step. And for you, that would just be some free writing, some brainstorming. I'm just going to throw down all sorts of ideas. You know, I think about a client I had years ago who was really struggling to find what her next career move was going to be. And I asked her to make a list of at least 5, but up to 10 jobs that intrigue her. And they don't even have to be jobs that she wants to do, but just put down anything. Now, she was someone in the financial field, and one thing that made her list was dog walker. So when we talked, she didn't want to be a dog walker, but I was intrigued by why did it make the list? And so she talked about how she liked the autonomy, how she liked to be outdoors in nature, moving her body, just her and the dog, wasn't surrounded by a lot of people in an office. So that gave us a lot of clues into how she wants her next chapter to feel, what she wants it to look like. So then we can really start to explore what she wants to do next. So I think it would be super helpful for you to do that as well. Hey, Heather, welcome. How do you want the next thing to feel? And so many people, if, again, I'm going to stay on the career thing, so many people try to identify their next chapter by a job title, which is really difficult. I have my clients talk about the type of work they want to do in the world, like with people. Do you want to be of service? Do you want to be building something, inventing, creating, writing, teaching, mentoring, etc.? Really thinking about what it is you want to do and how do you want it to feel and what you want to do, and then we back into some possible job titles. So hopefully that's helpful. All right, let me see if there's have I missed anything, Melissa?
No.
Okay, good. So I'm caught up on comments. So keep commenting where you feel stuck. And a couple little tips I want to share as well. When I write a to-do list, I don't like the to-do list because it stresses me out, and I know this is going to be backwards, but I write a to-do list. So that's it's got some things crossed out. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but I'm telling you, if you can play like a mental game with yourself, if you think about a to-do list, in my body, man, it feels heavy. It just feels stressful. It's like, oh, my to-do list. But if I think about, oh, let me look at my to-do list, it's like, it gets me excited. It kind of psychs me up to be like, yeah, what am I going to do today off my to-do list? So there's a little tip. Do to-do list. It's so fun. And really remember that small goals build momentum. So if those small action steps that we've talked about, really start to build momentum and gets things rolling for you, gets those wheels in motion, that part of you that feels like you just can't make any progress, excuse me, little steps can help you feel amazing. Man, I thought my cough was gone. One moment. I try to cover the mic and hope to spare you some of the noise. Okay, great. Thank you for sharing. I saw some people share the video. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe also to the live video so you'll be notified any time in the future that I go live. So a lot of you, if you've heard me before, heard me talk about Pomodoro rounds. The Pomodoro technique is a time management technique where you pick a specific task, you shut off all distractions, phone, email, Facebook, etc. You set a timer for 25 minutes and you go at that task and just start digging into it, whatever it is that you're trying to get unstuck from. Set that timer and know that you are focusing just on that for the next 25 minutes. When that resistant part of you comes up, was like, I don't want to do this, or tries to talk you out of doing it, you can remind that part of you, like, nope, we're just going to try it for 25 minutes. I find that helps the resistance settle down because it knows that there's an end in sight. At the end of 25 minutes, you're standing up and you're taking a 5-minute break. up away from the task at hand. So that can get your resistance on board. And like I talked about a couple weeks ago, the first 10 minutes of that 25 minutes might be fighting with your resistance and getting it to just like calm down, settle down. You might need to write about it. There are things you might need to do to get into the zone of making progress on the task at hand. So the main takeaways I want you to take from this is there a payout to you being stuck? How are you benefiting from not taking the action you say you want to take? And again, we talked about like if I, improved my eating and upped my exercise again, then it may mean that I have to deal with some uncomfortable emotions, or that I'll have to go through sugar withdrawal, and so there's a payout to keep eating like crap, right? It's not a good payout, but once I identify that, it's like, oh, okay, then I can wrap my mind around what tools can I reach for to help navigate those things that I'm trying to numb out. Or, if you're not getting rid of clutter, how is that clutter serving you? What is the payout to hanging on to it? If you want to start a blog, and you're not starting it, what's the payout? Are you protecting yourself from putting yourself out there and facing possible criticism or feedback? I always love that quote that Brene Brown has kind of made famous, but it's actually by FDR, about the man in the arena. It's like you can either be in the stands or you can be in the arena. And it takes courage to get in the arena, because more likely there's going to be people in the stands who have some opinions about what you're doing in that arena. But I don't want to hear from the people in the stands. If you're not in here trying it, braving it, getting your hands dirty, then I don't want to hear what you have to say. If you're in the arena with me, I'll hear your feedback. So if you're doing a blog, but you're hesitating because you're scared of what people might say or think, that's a nice way that I remind myself to care a little bit less about what people think. Because it's like, listen, we can all be an armchair quarterback, right? If you're not in the arena, I don't want to hear it. So Sarah, I would say, for you with your blog, figure out what is your very next step to move that blog project forward. So feel free, anyone, if you have places that specifically where you feel stuck that I haven't talked about, go ahead and put it in the comment section. I'd be happy to address it. And again, just make sure you subscribe to this, because I would love to make sure that you're notified. I am going to do my best to do these every Monday night. So you can also send me ideas for topics as we move forward. This, areas that you want to talk about or that you could use some tips on, some guidance or advice. Would love to know what you're interested in. So, yeah. So that's the number one big takeout. Is there a payout to you not moving your project or goal forward? And small steps. Like that is, I can't say that enough. Like we're at A, we want to be at Z. We think if we jump, we'll get there. But there's all sorts of cracks in the foundation. You've got to build the bridge, and that bridge comes in small steps. So I know it can feel like, oh my God, if I just do step B and step C, I'm never going to get to Z. I guarantee you will get to Z faster by going to step B first than trying to jump. It's that jump of like, I'll use Leah Marie's example, eating better. It's like if you say to yourself, you know what, starting tomorrow, I'm only eating fruits and vegetables and salad and lean protein. I'm not going to eat any dairy or sugar or carbs. Yes, some people can do that, but for me, I think that is trying to jump the chasm. It's not building the bridge. So it's like, let me see what I can do about removing one thing from my diet that I know is not serving my body well. And let me adjust to that change, see how that feels, and then I'll do the next thing. If we make things more realistic, we're much more likely to do it. We don't ever create long-standing change from a self-punitive place. You cannot beat yourself up into taking good care of yourself. You're just going to want to eat or whatever your vice is if you're trying to beat yourself into submission. Same thing with exercise. Don't start with tomorrow saying, all right, I'm going to go to the gym for an hour every day starting tomorrow. Of course your resistance is going to win there, but it's like, you know what? 3 times this week, I'm going to move my body in some capacity. That might be a 15-minute walk. It might be some stretching on your living room floor, or like an online yoga session with a video teacher. Think about how can you be realistic in your next steps, because the more you show yourself that you can be trusted, that you really do take action on what it is you say you want to do, the less resistance you'll feel. I remember back when I was exercising so regularly, which I miss, and that's the place that I'm stuck as well. Same with you, Leah Marie, with my health. But back when I was exercising regularly, I reached this cool place, which I had never reached before, that instead of, will I exercise today, it was, when will I exercise today? Because I was exercising anywhere from 4 to 6 days a week. And so it had become enough of a habit that the voice in my head was no longer, oh my God, I really should exercise today, but instead was, let me look at my schedule and see when can I exercise today? That was the coolest place to be, because it was like, this is what they mean when something becomes a habit. And I would get pissy if I didn't have time in one of my days to exercise. Or when I was very stressed, I was conditioned to go run that stress off on the treadmill at the gym, or to take a power walk outside. Whereas now when I'm stressed, I'm reaching for food again. So working on reining that back in. But there is this power in those small incremental steps that make things become a habit and become your new normal, that what you're doing now would seem completely foreign. So no matter where you feel stuck, health, career, relationships, blogging, whatever it is, think about what is one small step you can take. So I would love to hear from some of you before we wrap up. What is one small step you're going to take to move toward your goal? Hey, Mary, I'm trying so hard to make time for me. I am worth it. Yeah, you are absolutely worth it, Mary. So you can absolutely make time for you. So look and see, do a little evaluation. Where are you spending your time? Each day, where are you spending your time? Does it mean getting up a little bit earlier? Does it mean, sorry, does it mean, outsourcing some things, saying no to requests? What is it that you need to do to find that? Because time is finite, right? We can't make it necessarily. We can only carve it out. We can only choose it. There's only so many hours in the day. So for you, Mary, I would, where you're feeling stuck with making time for yourself, I would want you to look at how much are you doing for others, and I would want you to practice disappointing people. I give that to my clients a lot. I have them disappoint at least one person a day for 2 weeks. I know it sounds mean, but it's really powerful and really good. So, it can be anything from, someone on the street asks you for directions and you say, oh no, I'm sorry, I don't know. Even when you do, that's a way to disappoint someone. But more importantly, if someone asks you to do them a favor, if someone wants your time, skills, talent, to really evaluate that request, evaluate social invitations, whatever it is, make sure it's something you really want to do before you just automatically agree to it. So if your calendar is so full, Mary, because you're, let's say, an automatic yes machine, you say yes to everything that you're asked, we would want you to look at how is that benefiting you? Well, geez, maybe I say yes to everyone because that I want them to like me, or I want to seem really helpful, that kind of thing. So look and see, what is the payout to you not making any time for yourself? So Mary said, I've started to say no. It makes me feel bad, but I really needed to love your support. Yeah, you know what, Mary? I say that if you feel guilty, that's a good sign that you're taking good care of yourself. Because you're not doing anything terrible. Saying no to people, yes, you're going to feel bad. I guarantee you, they're already over it. So you need to look into what is it that I feel bad about? What is that triggering for you? because your time is valuable and you can't be there for others if you're not there for yourself first. It's the whole oxygen mask on the plane analogy, right? They always tell you, even when traveling with a child, the mask goes on your face first and then the child's. You have got to get your own needs met before you can be there for anyone. So I know I just missed a comment. Wendy. When I wanted to start an exercise habit, I started with a small goal like 10 sit-ups. I knew if I started on 10, I would do more. The hardest step was to get down on the floor for the first one. Oh my God, Wendy, I love that. Hey, Favy, welcome. Wendy, I love that. Like, that's a perfect example of, you know what? I'm just going to do 10 sit-ups. That's all I'm going to do today. And yeah, I bet the hardest part was getting on that floor for the first one. But even if you got on the floor and did 5, I mean, you probably did more than 10, like you said, you sent a message to yourself that you're worth it, that you matter. Just like Mary, you saying no to people sends the message to yourself that you matter, that you're worth it. Same thing. So yeah, I love that, Wendy. So if you're looking to incorporate exercise in your life, do that. Like after this video chat, get on the floor, 10 sit-ups, done. And just see how you feel and like really notate how you feel. Pay attention to how you feel. I know Sarah had listed, in the next week I need to start looking at my blogging material again. I can watch your first video. Yeah, Sarah, so commit to at least one POM round, one Pomodoro round, like we talked about, to start looking at your blogging material again. So we want to make it really concrete, really actionable. So by saying, in the next week I need to start looking at my blogging material again, still feels a little bit too vague and undefined for me. So, which means that if it's undefined, you're less likely to do it. So if you look at your calendar and say, hey, on Wednesday at 2 o'clock, I'm going to spend one 25-minute round looking at my blogging material, then it's something very finite and concrete. Does that make sense? So whatever the step is that you're going to choose, this is for any of you, whatever the action step is that you're going to choose to do to move you toward your goal, whatever that is, make it concrete and actionable. So be careful of the sometime in the next week I will. Hey, Joe. Hey, Catherine. Welcome. It's so fun to see you guys here. So make it concrete, make it actionable. Be careful of that vagueness where it's very unlikely that you will follow through on an intangible, vague, conceptual, theoretical goal. You want it to be really concrete and actionable. So look at your calendar, carve out time when you can take that step. Mary, for you, I would say carve out a regular window in your weekly calendar that is devoted to you time. You don't even need to know what you're going to do with it, but just mark it off. So if someone says, hey, Mary, you want to blah, blah, you can scan at your calendar and go, nope, sorry, not available then. They don't need to know that you're not available because you've earmarked that time for yourself. You just say you're not available. So that's really important, to make the actions really concrete and specific. Be careful of being vague or loose. That part of you that doesn't want to make any progress because he or she doesn't like any kind of change needs structure in order to get on board. So that structure needs to come in the form of some sort of planning, like the Pomodoro round, like the scheduling it on a particular day of the week. So being really, really concrete and actionable is the trick. So I'm going to wait for any other final comments, but I'm going to wrap it up here. So again, please subscribe to these videos so you'll get notified when I go live next time. Would love it. You can share this video even after we're done because the recording can be shared. And please feel free, you can email me, Carrie@carrierichardson.com, with any topic ideas that you'd want to talk about on these Monday night convos with Carrie. So you can send over some topic suggestions. And also for anyone who is specifically interested in clearing physical clutter, I've got something in the works right now that I'm going to be launching very soon. That is a clutter clearing accountability group. It's an online group where every day for 4 weeks, you're going to commit to specific physical clutter clearing that day, a very doable action step. You'll tell me what it is in the morning. We'll come back in the evening, and you can let the group know your progress. So there's going to be a group of us who for 4 weeks every day is going to have very specific clutter clearing goals. So watch my newsletter for that. I'll be launching that shortly. I think it's super helpful when you have like-minded people around you and accountability. And it's going to be specifically on physical clutter because there's so much that we learn when we dive into the physical clutter. So keep your eye on my newsletter for that. And I think that's everything. Oh, Favy, I need to spend a night with my girl soon. Yes, you do. It's my mother-in-law. Call her Favy because she's my favorite mother-in-law. Doesn't matter that she's my only one. She's my favorite one. So, yes, you do need to come spend a night. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm thinking like she needs a TV to sleep. Yep, we've got a TV here. I'm already processing your visit, Jay. That's what that is. Gail, thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining me. I'm glad it was helpful. It will be recorded, so obviously you guys can watch again if you want. And yeah, I'll look forward to talking to you guys next week. Same time, same channel. I'll talk to you then. Bye, everybody.